Hope you all are fit and fine and studying also. So बच्चे, in this very lecture we are going to start the new chapter of class 9. That the name of the chapter is Atoms and Molecules. So in this very lecture we are going to discuss about the introductory part of your chapter. Like when the scientists started to thinking about it, what is the nature of an atom? What is an atom? How is it made up of? Is it able to divide that atom, or atom is indivisible? Okay. So firstly, in this introductory part, firstly we are going to discuss about the history. Okay. So to get a clear understanding that why we need to study the atom, we must be aware about the historical aspect. That from the very beginning where this thing starts. Okay. So firstly, in 500 BC, there is a rishi, that is Maharishi Kanana. Okay. He is the first one in India who told us that yes, all the matter is made up of what? The particles. All the matter is made up of what? Particles. And if we are going to divide the matter, further division. If we are going to divide the matter, then at a particular stage we will reach at that point where the atom can't be divided. Getting my point? That means the particular thing which can't be divided further is known as what? Pramanu. According to what? Maharishi Kanana. Here is the first one. To get that idea that yes, if I am going to divide something, then at a particular point I reached at that thing where this Pramanu is not going to divide further. So, according to him, this Pramanu is further indivisible. This is the first one. And the second thing, there is a scientist, Democritus, okay? He also stated the same thing, that matter is made up of what? Particles. We all know that from the previous two chapters we are discussing this thing again and again, that matter is made up of particles, these particles are small and all that stuff. We have already covered that thing. But here he stated that if matter is going to divide further, ultimately we reach at a point where this can't be divided further. That means can't be divided further. And he named that thing as atom. So, in both the theories, they stated the same thing. Getting my point? That at the final position we reached at what? According to Maharishi, Pramanu, and according to the scientist, that is atom. So the term atom is given by which scientist? Democritus. Getting my point? So then next, after this, after 18th century, okay, or you can say that in the last 18th century, okay, they want to know each and everything about the atom. That what is this? Started getting some idea that what is an element, what is the difference between an element and a compound. Okay, so to study all this, let's get started with the very first thing, that is your law of what? Chemical combination. The law of chemical what, Rita? The law of chemical combination. Contribution of two scientists. The first one, Lavoisier, and the second one is your Joseph L. Proust. Okay, these two scientists, they started studying about what? Your law of chemical combinations. So the first law we are going to study is your what? Law of conservation. Law of conservation of mass. Law of conservation of mass. This is a very important law, and this law is satisfied by each and every chemical reaction that we studied in chemistry. So this is a very basic law. So according to this law, conservation, what do you understand by conservation? Conservation means remains constant, or you can say that remain same. That means nothing is going to change. And which thing is not going to change? What we are talking about? It's the mass. So according to this law, mass can neither be created nor be destroyed. Neither be created nor be destroyed in what? In chemistry, we are dealing with what beta? We are dealing with chemical reactions. So that means if I am having, okay, I am going to take an example because the concept is clear with the help of an example. So here, you all know that hydrogen, when reacts with oxygen, led to the formation of what? Water. So, atomic mass, okay, atomic mass of hydrogen is 2. Okay, I am going to tell you the difference why we are, somewhere we use this 2U or 2G. But till now, okay, in this lecture we are going to understand the difference. But this is the introduction part. So here, supposedly it is 2 gram and here what we are having is 16 gram. So when 2 gram of hydrogen reacts with 16 gram of what? Oxygen. So here the amount of water that is formed is 18 gram. Here neither 16 nor 17 or neither 19 nor 20. Getting my point? That means the amount of mass on the reactant side. That means this is reactant side, this is after the arrow is the product side. So according to this law, the mass on the side, that means when the reaction is not taking place, we are having the two reactants, and the mass after the completion of the reaction is going to be same. If here 2 gram and 16 gram are combining, so overall is 18 gram. That means the product which is going to form is also of what mass? Is also of 18 grams. Getting my point? So this is the law of conservation of mass. No loss, no gain. The amount of mass on both the sides of the arrow is going to be the same. That is 18 gram. So this is your law of conservation of mass. Again, by taking another example, carbon plus O2 led to the formation of carbon dioxide. We all know that carbon, okay. So here carbon and oxygen, it is what? 32 and it is 12 gram. So when carbon, I am going to take carbon 12 gram and oxygen is 32 grams. Then just tell me the amount of carbon dioxide. How much amount of carbon dioxide is going to be formed? So we just have to do, we just have to add this two masses. 12 plus 32, that is 44 grams. So you can say that yes, on this side the amount of CO2 is 44 grams. Okay, bitche? So this is the thing that should be kept in mind while dealing with your what? The law of conservation of masses. And the second law is your law of constant proportion. Law of constant proportion. And according to this law of constant proportion, or you can say that the law of definite proportion. The another name for this law is law of definite proportion. So the second is law of definite proportion. Definite means fixed. C on the board, okay? If I am saying I am having this CO2, I am having what? This CO2. Number of carbon 1, number of oxygen 2. So law of constant proportion states that if I am having a chemical substance, that is CO2, one is natural, that means that is occurring in nature, and one CO2 I prepared in my lab. Law of definite proportion, it stated that in a chemical substance, the number of the elements, or you can say that the amount of the elements, they are fixed by mass. Fixed by mass. So number of carbon here is also 1, number of oxygen here is also 2. So law of definite proportion states they are fixed by mass. Okay, the amount of the components that are present, their ratio is, or they are fixed by their masses. That means if I am having this CO2 that is occurring in nature, the mass of this CO2 is 44 grams, already discussed. Carbon mass 12, oxygen mass 32 grams. Okay, and if I prepare the same CO2, carbon dioxide, in the lab, the source is now different. This is naturally occurring and this is I made it in my lab. So here also carbon is 1, oxygen is 2. Mass of this is also 44 grams and carbon 12, 32 grams. So here in both the cases, although the source of occurrence is different, the source of occurrence is different, but their masses which is present, both the elements carbon and oxygen, they are present in the same amount in both natural occurring as well as of what beta in the lab formed carbon dioxide. So can you tell me the proportion? 12 into 32. Okay, you can calculate the proportion now. 4 3s are 12. 4 8s are 32. So the ratio is 3:8. Here also the ratio is 3:8. So they are fixed, present in fixed proportion by their weight. Taking another example like here water. In your NCERT book, the example given is what? Water. So here in the water form, it's H2O. Okay. Hydrogen. Overall mass 18 gram. Mass of H2 2 gram. Mass of oxygen 16. So the ratio is 1:8. 2 8s are 16. This is what? Naturally occurring. And if I made it in my lab, it is also 18 gram and the ratio of hydrogen and oxygen is also 1:8. That means they are fixed by their proportions and by their masses. Okay? So, the next thing is about, this is all about what? The law of conservation of mass and the law of definite proportions. So, nobody is able to give the particular justification, or you can say that the particular explanation about this law. So, there comes a scientist, named as, very famous scientist in chemistry, named as Dalton. He gave his own atomic theory. Atomic theory means he gave the theory related to what? Related to atom. And what he said? He postulated certain points. He postulated 6 points regarding what? Regarding atom. And these 6 points are known as the postulates of your Dalton's atomic theory. And they are very important for your paper perspective as metal is made up of what? The metal is made up of atoms. Metal is made up of what? Atoms. And these atoms, they participate in what? They participate in chemical reactions. The first point is, each and every material is made up of atoms, and these atoms, they are going to participate in what? Participates in chemical reactions. The second is metal. We already done atom. Then he told that atom is indivisible in nature. That means you can't divide the atom further. So this is the main postulate of his theory. According to it, atom is divisible or indivisible? It is indivisible. Very good. Third, what he stated that? He said that atom of same element. Here I am having oxygen. Atom of oxygen. Another one is also atom of oxygen. Atom of, this is atom number 1, atom number 2. The atom of the same element is oxygen. They are same in their masses as well as chemical properties. That means here the mass of both the molecule, both the atom is 16 gram each. Okay. The fourth point is regarding your atom of different element. Here I am having hydrogen, here I am having oxygen. Atom of hydrogen, atom of oxygen. Both are different elements. So the property, the chemical properties of both these atoms is same or different? Different. And their masses is also different. 1 gram, 16 gram. And they are going to show different properties. The fifth one, he stated that when the atoms combine, they combine in simple whole number ratio. They combine in what? Simple whole number ratio. That means when water formation is there, we all know that H2 plus O2 gives H2O. Okay. So here in the formation of water, the number of H2 molecule is H2 molecule I am talking about. Okay, is 2. Oxygen is 1. They are complete whole numbers. It's not like that. It's 2.5, 1.5. Getting my point? That means a complete whole number, complete atom or complete molecule is going to be reacted, and the formation of compound is going to take place. Here H2 is molecule and H is an atom. Okay. Why it is different molecule and atom? We are going to study in this very chapter. Okay. So the sixth and the last point, and the very important one is in a compound or in a chemical substance, the number of elements that are present, hydrogen 2 and oxygen 1. So their number as well as the nature of the element. That means which is the water which is present in India or the water which is present in Germany. They both are same. Each and every molecule of water in both the countries contain 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen. So these postulates are very, very important for this chapter. So the next and the last thing is, what is an atom now? We discussed about each and everything. So what you can say that the atom is the smallest thing, or you can say that is the building block of any material that exists in the universe. Atom is what? Atom is the building block of anything that is present in the universe. Very, very small. The size is 10 raised to the power minus 9 meter, or you can say that it is 1 nanometer. Because this nano unit, it stands for what? 10 raised to the power minus 9. So we know that it is an atom, okay? But we are having what? Different element: hydrogen, oxygen, helium. Okay, how I am going to differentiate that this atom belongs to which of the following elements? We need what? We need symbols to represent it. We need what? We need symbols to represent each and every element, okay, and each and every atom of these particular elements. So, from the symbol formation, from where the symbol formation starts, it started firstly with the scientist, that is the name of the scientist is Dalton. Dalton was the first scientist who started giving symbols to your element. He not only gives the symbol, he even specified the amount, okay, he even specified the amount of that particular element. For example, here I am going to write the symbol for hydrogen, which Dalton has given us. According to the Dalton, this is the symbol for your hydrogen element, and this one represents one atom of hydrogen. Okay, if I am here representing it like this 2, so they are what? 2 atoms of hydrogen. Okay, so he gave various symbols for different elements, but this concept right now not exist. We are not going to represent hydrogen with this one, okay, because now the latest symbol suggested by IUPAC. IUPAC is International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry. Okay, so this is an international body, and only this body has the right to specify the names, the symbols, or the units, your measuring unit, okay, is decided only and only by this what institution is IUPAC, okay, international organization. So according to IUPAC, now the name of any of the elements like hydrogen is represented by the first alphabet, hydrogen. Helium, okay. For helium, if I am going to use only H, then we are going to get confused that whether this H stands for hydrogen or for the helium. So, along with this one alphabet, they use the second one also. That is, first one capital, second one is small. So, H is a symbol for your helium. Okay, but here in case of iron, the symbol must be I or IR. But it is not the symbol for iron. The symbol for iron is Fe. Because for some of the elements, the symbol decided based on their existence. That means this is a Greek. This comes from a Greek word, okay, known as what? Ferrum. So in Greek, iron is known as what? Ferrum. So they use this Fe to represent your iron element. And likewise, there are different examples, okay. From the periodic table, you can easily see which element or which symbol is going to represent which particular element. So this is your introduction about this very chapter, and this chapter is very interesting and is very important to understand your chemistry, because in this very chapter we are further going to discuss about your mole concept, and mole concept is the basic concept of chemistry in which the whole chemistry stands. Okay, so all the best, good luck and study hard. Okay, bache, thank you.